your boat captain out here, show you guys around for a while. Pretty busy night. I hope to keep things a little bit more laid back. We are going to be out here together for about 2.5 hours, covering 30 miles. I mean 2.5 miles, covering 30 minutes. If there are newcomers aboard, a couple of rules for you real quick. Number one, please do not stand up and walk around in the boat during the tour. That's because of low bridges. We have a lot of them. Number two, of course, don't smoke or vape on the boat. Alcoholic beverages are allowed and encouraged. And number three, please don't have loud conversations. Just be polite to your neighbors, very important. That said, one last quick thing. If for some reason one of you ends up in the water on this tour, I have life jackets here below deck with me. If you end up in the river, I will throw you a life jacket from right here where I stand. Please catch it. Hold it up over your head, and then just stand up and walk out. Only a few feet of water, no danger down here. Starting up the tour right here, the second largest shopping mall in the city. This place is called the Shops at the River Center. Inside we have 125 places of business spread out over 1 billion square feet of real estate. Within these walls we have a Legoland and a Build-A-Bear for the kids. There is a walk-in aquarium and a Dave & Buster's. We have rock climbing walls and a jungle gym with zip lines. 2 food courts, 6 riverside restaurants, 2 movie theaters. We have an IMAX. And if you check out these walls all around us, these walls here are made out of 80% glass. And 20% credit card. A couple things about these boats as we get going here. I get a lot of questions about our boats. We have 44 boats in our fleet, captained by 63 different boat captains these days. Every boat you'll notice is whisper quiet. That's because we run 100% on electricity. Every boat charged up every night to one of 2 marinas down here on the water. Our boats weigh 5,000 pounds apiece when empty. They're powered by 4 large batteries, giving us 10 hours of drive time a night. They are propelled and steered by 1 single propeller right below my 2 feet. Every boat captain is fully trained up and 100% unlicensed and uncertified. We're in good hands though, because we have name badges and hats. Lastly, check out the side panels of the boats. They're all different. The one on my left-hand side here, this blue one, has a bald eagle and stars on it, called a Military City USA boat. Military City USA is a nickname of San Antonio, Texas. We currently have 4 active bases right here in town, including the Air Force Base. The boat that we are on right now is Dubs on it. It's called our Peace and Love boat. Peace and Love, just kind of the feeling these boats lend to downtown San Antonio. All kinds of boats. With that, let's take a right-hand turn at the bridge coming up.
Some people say she's looking in the future. Some people say she's looking in the past. But I think she's just sitting there trying to figure out when it is the next time the Dallas Cowboys are going to finally win another Super Bowl.
There it is back there in the distance, a 750-foot tall observation deck, bar restaurant. Yes, it does rotate every 45 minutes. It's called the Tower of the Americas, which stood as the centerpiece of the 1968 World Fair held here in San Antonio. And there are 2 ways to the top of that structure. Number 1, you can take a 43-second elevator ride. Or number 2, you can climb by foot. All 952 stairs that spiral up within. We sometimes have races to the top of that structure. The all-time record set back in 1981 by a 16-year-old. Never beaten again. 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Beat that. 43 years and counting. Every 2 years, by the way, the city comes in and cleans out the bottom of this river downtown, where they discover and drag out of here no fewer than 1,000 lost cell phones. Absolutely true. Alright guys, now directly on my right-hand side, past these 2 palm trees, if you look up over the treetops, poking up there is a church steeple that belongs to St. Joseph's Catholic Church. That was built here by Germans way back in the 1860s after the Civil War ended. Now, many people associate the city with much of a German heritage. Turns out that we have a very long, very rich German history. If you're skeptical of that, all I gotta do is open a map sometime to San Antonio. I'll tell you what you'll find. Our city is surrounded on all sides, multiple layers deep by old German towns. Places like Selma, Fredericksburg, Bern, Curvin, Lufkin, New Braunfels, just to name a few. In fact, inside New Braunfels is a massive water park called Schlitterbahn. You don't get any more German than that. I mean, you went the road, more or less. All this because from back there at the shopping mall, up ahead of that stone bridge up there, this is an artificial river extension. It wasn't always here, not until the 1960s. Where it used to stand right here where I'm driving this boat in an old German neighborhood. But to build this extension, the city came in, destroyed all the buildings, and kicked out all 1,600 residents. The only thing left standing is a little church back there called St. Joseph's, where the choir still sings in German. As a slow, this little stretch back here. Let's take a look at the bridge coming out.
Almost one a day, guys. That's crazy, crazy. So especially if you're drinking out here on the Riverwalk.
Taking a left here is going to do a couple of things for us. Number one is going to put us onto the natural part of the river. And number two, it's now going to bring into view a very large, very plain, very white, ordinary, rather unremarkable looking hotel. Here it is on my left-hand side around the corner, all lit up in yellow tonight. It's called the Hilton Palacio del Rio. Now this is in fact no ordinary hotel because back in 1968, this Hilton found its way into the Guinness Book of World Records for being the fastest hotel of its size ever constructed on Earth. Here's how they built it. Every one of these hotel rooms inside this Hilton was constructed individually on an assembly line 8 miles off-site. Not only that, every room also fully furnished 8 miles away. When I say fully furnished, I'm talking check-in ready. I mean everything. The carpets were all over it. The beds are placed inside and made out of sheets of linens. Pictures, artwork, fastened onto the walls. Lamps bolted onto desks. Gideon Bibles stashed away in nightstand drawers. When they were all complete, from wall to wall, floor to ceiling, all the rooms were put aboard a flatbed truck, shipped up here, dropped off on the side of the river where awaiting them was a crane operator. Hooked up to all the rooms, about 75,000 pounds of pop, lifted them up, stacked them on top of each other, and they were snapped into place like Legos. That's how just about the entire hotel, floor 5 and above, was built back in 1968. In fact, this Hilton, a 500-room hotel, was built from start to finish in just 7 months. That was a world record. That is a story of the Hilton, and that is called modular construction, still used today even now to build massive cruise ships. And now, my friends, now it takes us to my favorite corner of the entire Riverwalk. If you look straight ahead of the boat, situated upon that stone wall up there is a place called La Villita, the small village in English. All those buildings up there were built back in 1722 to house Spanish soldiers who were stationed at the Alamo, which makes it the very first neighborhood ever constructed in San Antonio, Texas. Now, if you go on up there today, it's all a collection of about 2 dozen different bars, cafes, restaurants, boutiques, but roughly as large as this town was some 300 years ago. Even to Canada, going up to La Villita, 3-etage standard. Entering now the 1941 edition to La Villita. Right here is the Arneson Theater. Starting on my left-hand side, we have seating for 800 people. These bleachers are made out of grass. They are watered by the city every morning at 7:30, and they overlook this beautiful little stage on my right. People always ask me, do we use the Arneson Theater? The answer is a resounding yes. We use it quite a bit. All kinds of shows go on down here at the Arneson. In fact, a show just wrapped up about half an hour ago is Mariachi Fest. Ozzy watched a movie called Miss Congeniality starring Sandra Bullock, one of the big scene shot back there at the Arneson, way back in the year 2000. Look around you back here. All the trees start getting very, very big, especially on my left-hand side. All these giant trees are cypress trees. They're all of them at least 250 years of age. On my right-hand side here, I'll point it out for you. There's a large statue of the cowboy in Longhorns that stands outside of the Briscoe Western Art Museum. Kind of an old Wild West themed museum in there. All kinds of old stagecoaches and guns and swords and saddles and statues. There's a large interactive diorama of the Battle of the Alamo in there. That's the Briscoe Museum. Straight ahead now, guys, this little bridge. Have a good look at the Preston Street Bridge coming up because, well, you might never see one like it again. It's a real rarity in the world. This is what they call an ornamental iron bridge or a modified cast iron bridge. Only about 25 exist in the country, about half of them right here in San Antonio. Passing underneath Preston Street. If you are seated, no need to duck. You're okay, you're not going to hit. Just don't stand up underneath it. Coming up next now, right down here on the surface of the water, on my right-hand side, I'll point it out for you, we're coming upon a small island. If you happen to be seated on my left, you can feel free to stand up and have a look at the island if you guys like. It's right here on my right-hand side. The first thing on it, a little square iron structure called Father Massenet's Table. This was installed right here on this island back in 1991, which was 300 years to the day after the first Catholic Mass was given on the banks of the river. Happened right here, given by Father Massenet himself. As we pass by the island, if you give it a careful look, you'll see it is made entirely out of the roots of the tree that grows out of it. This island is shaped like a heart, and this is what we call Marriage Island. So 200 couples either propose or get married on Marriage Island back there every single year. And legend has it, if you get married on Marriage Island, your marriage will not only be a happy one, but it will last you for the rest of your life. Yeah, take it from me. I got married right there. Yeah, 3 times. It works. On my right-hand side, we have Divorce Island. That's where I signed the papers. This is where the water kind of widens out. Nice, easy going, peaceful, quiet stretch back here. This is the one long stretch that stays quiet all year long, no matter how busy it gets down here. Busiest time of the year for the boats are the weeks between Thanksgiving and New Year's. That's because during that time, every tree on the tour, and I mean every tree on the tour, will be dripping with Christmas lights. They're turned on every night at 5 p.m. for a month and a half, and just about the entire state of Texas comes down for a boat ride. During those weeks after sunset, lines to get onto boats will stretch over 1/6 of a mile in length. And here we are, folks, now directly on my left-hand side. There it is, towering 400 feet into the air, capped off by the American flag way up there. That is what we call the Tower Life Building. Anybody ever see the original Ghostbusters movie? Yeah, that's not it. That's an octagonal building built back in 1929. That was purchased brand new for $3 million by a couple of guys called the Smith & Young brothers. They're the ones who had the gargoyles installed up there at the top of the Tower of Life, which act as rain spouts. They said they had to put those up there to ward off any bad luck they might encounter in the world of business or real estate. Once we clear this bridge now overhead, if you guys keep your eyes straight ahead of the boat, at 12 o'clock you'll see emerging into view lane. People always ask if that building is a church when they first see it. That's because it looks like it's got a steeple. I can assure you that is not a church. I can also assure you, you do not want to confess any sins in that building. That's the Baird County Courthouse. That's been in operation now since 1897, the biggest and the oldest, I should say the longest operating courthouse in Texas. Now on my right-hand side, we have the International Building. It contains the trade offices of the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Used to be our library. All right, folks, 2 things going on here right now. Number 1, we are passing over a floodgate that lies beneath the boat right now. That can be raised up to protect downtown back there from floods. And number 2, we're making a right-hand turn onto an artificial flood channel. If you look the other way, you'll see why I'm not making a left-hand turn. That's because 250 yards over there is a 15-foot drop off the top of a dam. Now this river, which is called the San Antonio, flows over that dam back there. This water is going to continue for 240 more miles all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, where it empties into San Antonio Bay. However, 10 miles before this river hits the Gulf, it abruptly comes to an end. That's because it has to merge with the Guadalupe River. That's when it picks it up and carries it the final 10 miles into the Gulf. Like I said, this is an artificial flood channel. This was put here because of the Great Rainstorm of 1921, where in September of that year, a single storm nailed our city with 17 inches of rain. That put downtown up there under 9 feet of rainwater, swept away 50 people, and that's why we have this flood channel. This has now been here, operational since 1941. Because of it, our downtown has not flooded since. Not one time, not by 1 foot. It's a pretty effective system. Alright guys, I'm going to slow the boat way down here, give you guys some bonus coverage here tonight. As I slow way down, if you look directly to my left, about a block off the river, almost a bit behind the boat as we drive past. Look through a couple of trees, you'll see ever so softly glowing light. I'll point them out for you. 2 twin stones. Those belong to the San Fernando Cathedral. That cathedral is to this day the longest operating Catholic church of any kind in the state of Texas. They have been serving. Took a good look at them. What's going on right now is what I wanted to point out to you. Projected onto the base of that cathedral, about 25 minutes long, free of charge. You just go up there to the plaza out front, buy a glass of wine if you like, kick back and enjoy a light show. All musical, all about the history of San Antonio. We get this 9 p.m. every night at the San Fernando. Straight ahead now, guys, there it is, all lit up tonight. We have the godfather of all cypress trees here in the downtown area. That's called the Milam tree, named after Texas patriot Ben Milam, who was shot and killed by a Mexican sniper perched up in that very tree back in 1835, a bit before the Battle of the Alamo. Today, this old tree stands 90 feet tall, about 500 years of age. And that takes us to the other floodgate that protects downtown, right here in front of the boat. This floodgate here comes down like a guillotine. 4,000-pound door comes down fast enough to cut this boat in half. And I want to get through here now, because they are going to test it now in 10 seconds. Nah, just kidding, we're okay. You're not supposed to tell the joke anymore. And just like that, back onto the natural stretch we go. Just up ahead, you'll see a darkened orange boat there, docked by the right-hand sidewalk. This boat here is docked right outside of a little 2-story stone building. You can see the sign, the staircase. It's called the Esquire Tavern. The Esquire Tavern is located at 4-2 up there by those 3 hanging lights. This Esquire Tavern, you guys, is the oldest bar not only anywhere on the entire river. This is one of the oldest bars in Texas. No one knows how far back it goes because it predates all of our records. What we do know about the Esquire is that inside, nothing has been changed out in over 110 years. Also inside the Esquire lies the longest wooded bar in the state at 108 feet long, which is longer than a bowling lane. Go check it out, the Esquire. On the right-hand side coming up, you're going to see a large semicircular bronze overhang on the top of the first floor of this building sticking out. When you find that bronze overhang, you will see the Aztec Theater. This Aztec goes back to 1926 as an old silent movie house. Got shut down after silent film fell out of fashion. Got shut down for a long time, so long it fell into complete, utter disrepair. Recently though, it was revitalized, renovated, and is now once again one of the centerpieces of entertainment here in downtown San Antonio. No more movies at the Aztec, however. Now it's all live. All kinds of stand-up comedy, live music, right there at the Aztec. And here we are now, ladies and gentlemen. We have now arrived and are about to pass underneath a little stone footbridge, which, believe it or not, this is the most recognizable, most photographed bridge in all of South Central Texas. It's a little obscure in the world of general knowledge, but we call this bridge Selena's Bridge. If you're not from here, if you're from a place like, Syracuse, New York, probably don't know what we're talking about. This bridge overhead is called Selena's Bridge because it was featured in the 1997 hit film called Selena, starring Jennifer Lopez. It's okay, sir, I'm from Wisconsin. I don't know either. It's a big deal here in San Antonio, that old bridge. Jennifer Lopez's first big Hollywood break, and a lot of locals take these tours just to hear the boat captain point that bridge out. On the left-hand side now is our next landmark. This is La Mansion Hotel. Prior to being a hotel, this building goes back to 1853 as an all-boys boarding school called St. Mary's College. It's now been a hotel since the 1960s, and if you ever find yourself as a guest in there, you are likely going to be staying inside of an old 19th century boys' dorm. That's how it's going for you. Overhead now, the Wall Street Bridge. So here we go. Once we get out from underneath this bridge on the other side, if you look directly, and I mean immediately on my left, and way to the sky as high as you could possibly manage to look, what you're going to see way up there is a little architectural trick of the eyes. It looks like a single freestanding wall way up there, all the way up. What it actually is, of course, is a massive triangular building. It takes up half the city block. Yes, that is massive by San Antonio standards. That used to be the Knicks Hospital, built in 1930. And that is, of all things, the world's very first air-conditioned hospital. We invented air conditioning here in San Antonio many decades ago. We also have the world's very first air-conditioned office building. And if anyone here knows who Carol Burnett is, she was born right there at the Knicks. San Antonio native, Carol Burnett, our finest invention yet. This is a nightlife corner. Alright guys, now straight ahead of us, up over this bridge, there's a large hotel building with all those dark rectangular windows up there. That's the Hyatt Regency Hotel, which is famous around here for its height. Not because it's tall, but because it's very short, and here's why. The city of San Antonio, believe it or not, prohibits any and all buildings from casting a shadow upon the Alamo with the setting sun. Absolutely true fact. That's why this Hyatt here is limited to 16 stories. The Alamo lies on the other side of it, just up the block directly to its east. Left-hand side here, live jazz every night all the way to midnight. Speaking of the Alamo is not the number one. The Alamo is the number 2 most visited tourist destination in all of Texas. Number 1 on that list is the San Antonio Riverwalk. Over 20 million visitors a year. 2 is the Alamo. Number 3 on the list is also in San Antonio. And you're riding on it right now. These boats are the number 3 most visited tourist destination in the state. On the right-hand side here, folks, we got a large red building called the Casino Club Building. It's not a casino, never was a casino. Built by Germans about 100 years ago as a social club. It now stands as a steakhouse topped off by apartments up there. If you want to live in the apartments on top of the Casino Club Building, you got to jump onto a 10 to 15 year long wait list. That is prime real estate. By the way, the number 1 most visited tourist destination in North America, Central Park, New York, followed by Niagara Falls. There's some low players there, Syracuse. You got 2 of them. Alright guys, here we are. We have now entered Restaurant Row, also known as River Square, the world famous. This is the epicenter of all the Tex-Mex cuisine you can find. All along here for over 100 yards, nothing but Tex-Mex restaurants, every one of them start to finish. You can dine down here on the river, up at the balcony. You can find homemade guacamole, mariachi bands, margaritas, tacos, barbecue, you name it. If it's Tex-Mex, it's on the menus right here on Restaurant Row. In fact, by the time they drop you guys off, they will pass by about 30 different restaurants of all kinds. Alright, just up ahead of us now on the right-hand side, starting right here beneath this upcoming bridge, going clear across all the way to the next bridge way up there. On the right-hand side, here it is, the final landmark along Restaurant Row, the granddaddy of them all. This is Casa Rio. This is the very first restaurant to ever open its doors on the Riverwalk. It was opened and operating in 1946. If I can for a second, now draw your attention directly to my left. There's a stone wall here. Look up over the wall through these 2 cypress trees. You'll see a bright red sculpture. Looks a bit like a ribbon in the wind. It's called the Torch of Friendship. Been here since 2002. It's That's 65 feet tall, clocks in at a whopping 90,000 pounds. That just simply symbolizes the friendly relations between the U.S. and Mexico. That's the torch of friendship. With that, let's take a left. Check for traffic. Looks like we are clear to go. We do have wildlife swimming around us throughout the course of the tour, by the way. We have turtles in here. We have apple snails. Imagine a snail the size of a Honeycrisp apple. You'll get a pretty accurate picture of what I'm talking about. We have sunfish, crawfish, catfish, and bass. We also have, on average, one person who falls in down here every 22 hours. All of them never to be seen again. No, they're okay. Most of them. There's about a 65% survival rate. They're okay. Makes sense if you think about it. People falling in down here. A lot of margaritas being served and a suspicious absence of hand railings in general. People do hit the drink. Don't be surprised if you see it. Alright guys, now straight ahead of the boat we have 3 large hotels up there. Check out the one on the left, the one with the green lights on it. Up at the top you'll see it says Marriott, one of our biggest in the city. What used to stand there where the Marriott is today was an old hotel called the Fairmount. Been there since 1906. The Marriott will bottom out, wanted to knock it down in 1985 to build the Goliath you see there now. So the city stopped that from happening. Here's what they did instead. They hired engineers. They got up underneath that old Fairmount hotel. They dug it out, and in one whole piece, they dragged it onto the street. From there, they put it aboard 36 dollies and rolled it 6 blocks across downtown at 0.4 miles per hour to its final resting place, where it still, to this day, operates as a full-service hotel. You can stay there tonight at the Fairmount. With that, you guys, one final landmark on the tour. It's everyone's favorite. It's right here, directly in front of the boat. It's the Stargazer statue. She is carved out of volcanic stone from Mexico, all except for that pure white marble star in her right hand. If you look carefully at that white star, there's a tiny hole in it. And what they say she's doing, she's staring into that device to contemplate when the Dallas Cowboys are going to finally win a Super Bowl. I think that's it. You can check me on that. With that one final left-hand turn, look ahead of us. It might look familiar. I picked you up there about a half an hour ago, which means we are coming upon the end of the line, and I have to drop you guys off as well. I want to thank you all for coming out. I hope you guys enjoyed your time out here, and of course learned a couple things along the way. Do me a favor, please stay seated till you jump out of the boat. Keep it safely and securely tied down. While you have your